What type of torpedoes did Confederate submarines use? Have you ever wondered how submarines operated during the American Civil War? One fascinating aspect is the type of torpedoes used by Confederate submarines. The primary weapon of choice was the Spar torpedo. Unlike the self-propelled torpedoes we see today, these were explosive charges mounted on long poles, known as spars, that extended from the front of the submarine. The crew would maneuver the submarine to ram the spar into the hull of an enemy ship. The explosive charge, typically a copper keg filled with black powder, would then detonate, breaching the target's hull. This method was both innovative and dangerous, as the explosion's proximity could harm the submarine's crew. A notable example of this was the Confederate submarine H.L. Hunley. This submarine used a Spar torpedo mounted on a roughly 16-foot-long spar. The Hunley would approach a Union ship, ram the spar into its hull, and detonate the charge. In 1864, this tactic successfully sank the USS Housatonic, marking the first time a submarine sank an enemy warship. However, the explosion was so close that it likely caused fatal injuries to the Hunley's own crew. Another Confederate vessel, the semi-submersible torpedo boat David, also employed a Spar torpedo system. The David carried a copper cylinder containing about 60 pounds of powder on a 15-foot iron spar. This design was intended to be rammed into Union blockaders. Unlike fully submerged submarines, the David operated mostly semi-submerged, with only parts of the vessel above water. In addition to Spar torpedoes, there were variations like floating torpedoes. These were trailed behind the submarine on a cable, meant to be dragged under a target and detonated by contact. However, Spar torpedoes remained the primary weapon for Confederate underwater attacks during the Civil War. In summary, Confederate submarines primarily used Spar torpedoes, explosive charges fixed to long poles that were manually rammed into enemy ships and detonated. This method was innovative for its time but also posed great risks to the submarine crews due to the close-range explosions involved.